show anger than to show sadness.
I just don't think love by itself, for a romantic relationship and a life partner, someone you're doing life with and all they bring you is love. That's also a good point. We don't know.
I'll put something on.
Buttoned up.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you for joining us today. I'm really keen to hear your story and get to know you a little bit. Yeah. Do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. As you said, writer, poet. Though I don't really consider myself a poet anymore, but I guess when you begin that way, you kind of always are. But I generally write novels, I write fiction. I published 5 books, I think. So my 6th is out in September. And that's with Murky Books.
You got Murky Books.
Yeah, they published my first novel and I'm gonna publish my next one as well. So I've been writing professionally since probably about 2017, 2018.
Okay.
I started off writing there was a kind of an online publication called Media Diversified, and they used to publish some of my essays and stuff. And then from there I started writing fiction. But yeah, I don't know what you want me to say. I'm not really good at selling myself. Or,
the thing, you know what's so crazy? Because you were like, I think it's my 6th book. Like, to be able to say that, like...
Do you know what it is? I'm thinking, should I count certain books? So, for example, there's a book called Safe on Black British men, which I collated and edited and wrote essays for. And I'm thinking, does that count as one of my books? And then I wrote a children's book as well with a musician, a guy called Leon Rowe. And I've written like another little book on art for the Tate. And I'm in my head, I'm thinking, do these books count?
Of course.
Sir.
He even said little book,
They
you
all
know.
count.
Okay, sure. So it's probably about 7 books, yeah.
And you said something about essays. So is that how you started getting into writing?
Well, I mean, no, the way I started writing was through like rap, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up in the grime era where everybody wanted to be an MC. Like the local MC on the block who had been on radio once was like a celebrity to us, And we never saw their faces either. It was just a voice on the radio. So when someone put it out, it was like, oh, this is this MC. It was like, you're starstruck when you seen them. So yeah, like most people, on the estate, I wanted to be an MC, but I was more into rap than grime. And I remember writing like a lot of lyrics and trying to rap, but I couldn't. So like a rap verse has 16 bars and you've got to fit a certain amount of words within one bar. I kept going over the bar limit because I had so much to say. Okay. So when I was trying to record, it just sounded offbeat all the time. So I just kind of gave that up and just continued writing songs, not to record them, but just because I loved doing it. I loved language. I loved thinking of metaphors and similes and using figurative language. And then that turned into poetry. And then from there, kind of started writing essays and yeah, kind of went from there. So that's basically the entry point was music.
So you said, just a slight pivot, you said 7 books roughly so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. For you, what's been your most kind of impactful or meaningful one to you? I know they all probably have some kind of meaning, but if you used to pick one.
It's probably the one that's coming out in September. And because it's my most hopeful book. So the books that I write, they do sometimes get categorized as like black trauma or black pain, which is very annoying for me because, I'm just kind of trying to capture a particular kind of experience, I'm not writing a piece of cake, That's not the kind of book that I'm writing. But so with this book, yes, it's a lot more hopeful. It's more about getting through things rather than just experiencing them.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed writing it as well. It was really nice writing it. It kind of just flowed out of me, and it doesn't happen often when you're writing books. Normally, you have to start. But this really just, it was almost like, it's kind of very uncool for writers these days to say anything spiritual about writing. But when I was writing it, some of it felt like a religious experience. And I know this because when I finished writing it, I felt really good. Sometimes when, obviously I don't know the religious backgrounds of you guys, but there are times when I'm going through something and I pray, and afterwards you just feel like, okay.
Lighter.
Yeah. I felt like that after I'd written this.
I
this
wonder,
novel.
when you write, is it kind of like free writing? So you're not thinking too much, it's kind of just all coming out on the page. Is it that sort of experience?
No, so I always know what the story is. I plan the story in my head. I know who the characters are. I know roughly what's going to happen to them. I know what their voice sounds like, what their writing style is going to be like. And then I can fill in the blanks once I'm writing. And then obviously afterwards you edit until you're satisfied with it. But with the Recovery House, there were times when it did kind of feel just, like it was coming from somewhere else. And that was a great feeling, and I've spoken to other writers about it, and they kind of say, that kind of just happens once in your career, and then it just doesn't happen again. And you're always chasing the high. You're chasing that flow state that you were in once when you wrote this book. And you never quite get there again. But most writers, they say they've experienced it a couple of times,
It's so interesting. So that the free writing I was speaking about is an actual tool people use therapeutically to release. And you were saying that you felt lighter, and then it's also linked to some religious practices.
Okay.
It's like a form of sort of meditation to kind of get things out, and also like a sort of form of mindfulness. So that was what was coming to mind when you were talking about how light you feel when you write.
Fascinating. I mean, the book itself actually is against writing as a form of therapy. Yeah, it all takes place in a mental health institution, and the main character, Jamal, he's there because he tried to write autobiographical fiction about his life. And he was trying to write things that he just hadn't dealt with in his own life.
Okay.
And during the novel, he's trying to create a creative writing class for the other patients and whatnot. But yeah, my subconscious stance was that, a lot of writers will mine their own trauma in order to sell it without having dealt with it themselves. And I do think that's a dangerous thing.
Do you think they do that because it gives more like raw material? They can write in a more passionate way, or it comes out differently opposed to when they might have like dealt with it, processed it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. And yet some of the greatest novels ever written have been written in that kind of way. But then you just have to think, but then what happens to the author afterwards? A lot of authors who write about their own trauma, or their trauma informs their writing, they have issues. They have mental health issues. They have drug problems. They have a lot of writers are alcoholics, because when you are drawing from your own life, even if you're not writing about your life, but you're having to tap into certain emotional states that you've experienced before in order to write these characters, it's really draining, it's really exhausting. And afterwards, you just want to numb yourself because you can't continue like that.
That makes sense. So you're saying, let's not do that anymore. And like your book is about
No, I'm not saying it.
that.
The book was just kind of, the book just ended up being about that. And I guess that was, a subconscious position that I gave to the main character, Jamal. My own personal feeling on it, I'm not really sure, actually. Not really sure. What happens when I give my character something to ruminate on, to think about, I then don't think about it myself. Do you know what I mean? It's interesting, actually. Yeah, I never do that. If I'm exploring it on the page through this character's voice, I never then take it on board for myself. I just kind of leave it. I leave it on the page,
Okay, like it's the character's thing. It's not my thing.
It's not my, exactly.
Yeah.
Although I might need to deal with some of the things that the character is dealing with. But yeah, I just never happened where I've thought, oh, this character's, I've written about this. This is how this character feels. How do I personally feel about this? It just doesn't really matter. It doesn't occur to me to think like that.
So thinking about it now, do you feel that writing could potentially be healing while trauma mining specifically is harmful? Do you think there's ever a way that writing could be healing for some people in different contexts? Maybe if they get their trauma out on a page and then deal with it and then perhaps use it to help people or share their story with people. In your opinion, do you think there's ever a case where it's actually helpful?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think, one of my friends used to, when something was troubling her, she would write it down and then she would burn it. And and that really helped her, So writing can definitely be a tool, to help people deal with trauma or to make sense of things. A lot of writers say that they write in order to work their own personal thoughts out on a page. Usually non-fiction writers or essayists, they do that. But me personally, I've never really felt any kind of catharsis when I'm writing. And a part of me wouldn't want to feel, cathartic doing it, because then, I don't know, I think because I've begun writing in this particular kind of way, I just want to continue doing it like this now. I feel like if I change something, I might not be able to do it in the same way that I do it now. There's this novelist called Anthony Horowitz, and he was talking about therapy, and he was like, he probably needs to go to therapy, but he's never going to go. Because if he goes to therapy, they're probably going to therapize the writing out of him.
Okay.
He would not be able to, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I get what he means. I understand what he means, yeah.
Right. Because you have to draw upon your own stuff.
Yeah.
Time to, and you do that as well, right?
Yeah. I've done it a lot. I mean, I've done it less and less with each book, but in my first book was very autobiographical. But then, with each, subsequent book, I've kind of just toned it down a bit more.
Okay. Yeah. We kind of want to get into those like earlier times in your life and think a little bit about your experiences and have a bit more of an in-depth conversation about that and mental health.
Okay.
So that will be our in session. Go do the little transition. Sorry guys, I'm annoying Brent. So you were saying that earlier in your writing career, it was autobiographical, talking about your own kind of mental health experiences. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think I've had, mental health issues since I was like a child. I grew up in foster care. I was in foster care for 7 years, from like 0 to 7. And as an adult, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. So after I got that diagnosis, I kind of went back through my life and kind of wondered, where did it begin? Where was the first kind of indication that I had issues? And it was definitely in childhood, because I used to hallucinate things. And I just thought, I used to think I was sleeping, and kind of seeing things in my room and whatnot, or hear doors slamming really hard, and these kind of things. And then when I left foster care and I moved in with my mum, I was still seeing these things. It's like, you know, these like little people or whatever. So when I was doing like Googling like research papers and whatnot, and these like studies on BPD, one of the things they did mention is that, you know, children who hallucinate tend to develop mental health issues later on in life. And I think it was called like Alice in Wonderland syndrome or something like that, where things seem bigger or smaller as well from your perspective. So yeah, from then and just kind of up until I was about 11, I was just obsessed with like not existing anymore. It was really confusing for me. My mum was very, very religious, so she was kind of talking to me about the Bible and whatnot. And I just had so many questions that confused me. And so she would tell me about like heaven and how, you know, this everlasting life and you're going to be happy and it's going to be in paradise for all eternity. And I used to be like, eternity? Forever? And that used to scare me. Even though she was saying these amazing things are going to happen, I was worried about the concept of eternity. What does that actually mean for me? Does that mean I'm never going to be able to switch off? And it used to scare me. So little things like that, yeah, kind of, you know, tell me there was something not quite right.
So when you said you were obsessed with not existing, do you mean as in like you were actively thinking about like ending your life or something like that, or you were just curious about what it would be like not to exist?
I was curious about what non-existence is. What does it mean to not exist? Because I didn't know what existing was as well. So I would become very confused about myself. I would kind of just sit down and be looking at my hands or be staring at people and just think, this is really weird. What is this?
That's interesting. So was it almost like you didn't feel like you were in your body as a kid?
Yeah. I had moments like that. And I know what that is now as an adult, is this thing called depersonalization. But I was having that when I was a kid, and I just was so confused by it. I didn't know what was going on. I
just want to pivot back for a second. So I'm just aware that some people listening may have misconceptions or may not actually understand what borderline personality disorder is, or what personality disorder is. Yeah. So from your understanding, how would you describe personality disorder to people that may not understand it?
Well, I guess clinically speaking, it's kind of characterized by sudden and extreme shifts in emotional states, fear of abandonment, these dissociative episodes, impulsivity, and that can relate to gambling, drinking, sex, self-harming behaviors. I think there's 9 symptoms, and you have to kind of have 5 of them, and then they diagnose you. But I remember before I got my diagnosis, the person I was dating at the time, again, another strange thing that kept happening is, whoever I was dating, I would say to them like, oh, I feel really weird, this thing's happened, and I'll tell them my symptoms. And they would say, Derek, you're just unique, it's fine, you see the world in a unique way. And that would make me feel better. But there was one person I was dating and she was like, Derek, there's something wrong with you. You're not unique. There's something's not quite right here. And so I kind of started Googling the things that I was feeling, and I came across BPD. And when I read the symptoms, I was like, oh, I have all of these things. And so I ended up in hospital. And when many clinicians actually were talking to me, and then they sent me to a specialist to talk to them, did an assessment or whatever, and then they diagnosed me with, I think they called EUPD, emotionally unstable personality disorder, but it's the same thing.
They've just changed the name.
And it was, to get a diagnosis was kind of a relief, So I was like, okay, so this makes a lot of sense to me. But it was also, so who am I then? If who I thought I was are all of these symptoms, then like who is Derek, sort of thing. So that was a very a confusing time, and I think a lot of people with BPD struggle with that, trying, figuring out who they are, as opposed to the symptoms of the disorder.
You mentioned one previous partner saying you're just unique, and another previous partner sort of highlighting this is an issue.
Yeah.
At those different points, did you resonate with either of those views? Did you ever think, I'm just different, I'm fine, and I'm kind of functioning okay, and I'm getting on? Did you ever think, actually, I feel different, and this is actually problematic? Because people might feel different, but might not feel that there's an issue. So at what point, if at all, did you think, okay, there's something actually concerning here, or there's a problem here?
I always thought that there was something wrong with me. But I was just too scared to do anything about it. I was, I thought if I was on medication, then the medication was going to make me worse. I thought, if I go into like a mental health institution, I'm never going to come out, because you hear these horror stories that as an adult now, I realize that it's grossly exaggerated. The majority of people who go into mental health institutions, they get better. People who go on medication, they get better. But, especially in the Black community or coming from a highly Christian background, the idea of going on medication was just, it wasn't going to happen. With both of those statements, you're unique, or there's something wrong with you. I never resonated with the whole, you're unique, but it did make me feel better. Okay. It made me think, okay, maybe I'm not crazy, and this is just something that's happening. And then, and when you're experiencing like, especially symptoms like severe anxiety, depersonalization and derealization, these kind of experiences where nothing feels real, when it happens for so long, you just get used to it. And it kind of goes into the background. And then there are moments when you suddenly feel it again. And you're like, oh, this hasn't gone anywhere. It's still been here, and I've just got used to the feeling of it. So, there's never been, I don't think there's ever been a time in my life when I haven't thought that there was something wrong. I've always kind of felt it in the back of my mind.
Even as a kid, did no one notice? Adults, I mean, if you're a kid. And
I asked my mum this as well.
Yeah.
I asked her, I was like, did you never think there was something wrong with me, or did you never notice anything? And she said no. But I remember things happening and getting in trouble for them. And I think she just thought I was naughty.
Like what?
Like, I used to take everything to pieces so that I could just look inside it. I don't know why. I had to look inside of everything. If it was a toy, I would break it up to look inside it. If it was a TV remote, I'd break it up to look inside. Like, I just needed to look inside of everything. And she just thought that I was just being naughty. And I said to her, I was like, you don't think that was strange? And she was like, I do now. But at the time, I just, I thought you was just being a kid. So things like that. And I do remember I used to say to my mum all the time, I feel strange, I feel weird, and she would just comfort me. Or I would go up to her and say, when is the world going to end? I was obsessed with that. And then she would just take out her Bible and read to me, look, the disciples asked Jesus and Jesus said, nobody knows. So nobody knows, so just relax. You're going to be fine, sort of thing. And that would comfort me as well. And I would kind of relax for a little bit, but then the obsession would come back.
Yeah. You mentioned comfort when mum would read certain things from the Bible. In your journey overall, would you say religion has been more of a comfort? I know sometimes when people have mental health difficulties, religion can exacerbate things, can also comfort. So there's two sides. I wonder where you've kind of fallen that spectrum when it comes to religion and the role that it's played, because it sounds like it was a big part of your childhood and a big part of the relationship you have with your mom as well.
I think maybe I'm overstating my relationship to religion. My mom was highly religious. And I did have those moments, but day to day, I wasn't reading my Bible or anything. I was dragged to church. I didn't want to go to church. When I was older, I had a kind of phase where I was a born again Christian, but that didn't last long because I wanted to have sex and they were like, no sex. So I was like, forget this. So I just, I mean, just keeping it real.
No, you have to be real. That's real.
But I've always felt like I have some sort of kind of, I have a religious feeling. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know if that's just because I was raised in a Christian home or if it's instinctual or what. But it hasn't really played a part one way or the other, I don't think. No, I don't think so. That's an interesting question, though. Because fascinatingly, my next novel is about this. It's about how religion can help or it can make things worse.
Yeah.
Because when you're going through a mental health crisis, opening yourself up to the supernatural is quite dangerous. And I wanted to explore that. But for me personally, no, I've always been quite grounded actually when it comes to my own mental health.
What about in terms of like hope or healing? Did religion play a role in that sense at all? Like, prayer when you went to hospital?
No, not really. Again, I think because I've been like this my whole life, I haven't thought about healing. It's just kind of like, how do I just get through this moment?
Yeah.
Or hope. It's kind of like hope for what, I guess, I think if I woke up tomorrow and I didn't have BPD anymore, I didn't have any anxiety or depression or anything, I wouldn't feel like myself. So I think if somebody, and it sounds crazy, but if someone said you can have it all back, I would take it back because I'm not used to anything else. It'll be too foreign to me.
Okay. So you don't have like a concept in your head of like what something else, like not having life with depression or anxiety or having this diagnosis. You don't have like a vision of what that might be. Maybe as well, you're talking about the people you've dated, and there was one girl that said, "It's there's something going on."
Yeah.
Did they talk to you a little bit about actually this is how life could be if you were not experiencing these things? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. No, nobody's, I mean, even therapists that I've spoken to, they've never asked me to imagine what life would be like without these issues that I have. But I don't know what life would be like. I wouldn't be a writer, I don't think. And I think that also plays a part in me not wanting too much change because I love writing. I love being a writer. I love being able to do it. So if I wasn't able to do that anymore, I think that would be an issue.
Okay.
What's the change, would you say, in terms of, since you got a diagnosis, because I know you said you started Googling things, you're like, hold on, this is me here. Has it changed anything for you since then? And on top of that, if it has changed something for you, what about the people around you? I know you spoke about your mum, the relationships. Has those things changed?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of in the process of changing a lot of things about myself. When I was in uni, I remember I had a girlfriend. I had a long, that's another symptom, it's a long string of unstable relationships. And I had those. And I remember being in uni and just kind of stopping and thinking, why does the same pattern keep repeating itself? Like, I feel like I'm obsessively in love and then suddenly I can't be around them anymore. They give me anxiety. I can't, and I say to them, I can't do this anymore. And then 2 weeks later, I'm like, oh no, I'm in love with them again. Do you know what I mean? This kind of impulsivity, this back and forth thing. And I didn't like it. I didn't like that about myself. So I wanted to change that. So I was in the process of changing that about myself. So when getting the diagnosis, seeing the other symptoms, I was just kind of like, okay, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like that. I'm going to change those things. And I just worked myself, just to get rid of the things that I didn't like about the disorder. And so what changed? Interesting question. my relationship with my mum definitely got better, like a lot better. Relationship wise, I don't bounce from relationship to relationship anymore. I'm happy to be alone, or if I'm in a relationship, that's fine as well. Yeah, but also for things to change, the people around you also need to take an interest. And in terms of my friends, I'll say the male friends, I don't think any of them have ever actually read about BPD or Googled it. You know, I don't think, I asked 2 of them actually like last year, and I said, have you ever Googled BPD? Do you know anything about it? And they were just like, no, should I?
So,
yeah, which is crazy to me. But
You wanted them to.
I don't even that I wanted them. I kind of just expected them to. You know, when I'm talking to somebody who I don't even know very well, and they tell me they're dealing with something in particular that I don't know much about, I Google it immediately because I want to know what's happening, what they're going through, how they're feeling. But I mean, I guess, some people just don't like that, I guess. But it just made me think, so when I'm telling you I'm feeling this, that, way, or the other, what is going through your head when I'm saying these things to you? Like, what are you, like, yeah, it's interesting, you know.
But other friends were doing it. They say, like, your female friendships are a bit different.
Oh, completely. Yeah. They would read up about it, to the point where if I would be like having a moment of mania or something, they would stop me and be like, Derek, I think the BPD is jumping out. You need to relax, like chill. Like, let me call you or go for a walk. Do you know what I mean? They were able to recognize patterns or whatever, and then maybe talk to me and give me some advice. With the guys, if I'm having an episode or I'm manic or I'm jumping from one emotion to the other, they just ignore me. You don't say, they just, I think they just think, oh, Derek's moving mad again. This, yeah, it's and the kind of the online discourse is always, men don't know how to be friends with other men. They're not good friends. I don't completely agree with that, but there are certain things that I think, from my experience, the male friends in my life, they're just not really interested too much in your personal life. They're happy with the surface kind of things, and I think as well, when if you do start to talk quite deeply about something, they're kind of shocked. They're kind of like, oh, like,
They don't know what to do.
They don't know what to do.
Yeah.
They kind of, they're kind of thinking, all right, why is he telling me all this? Like, why are you telling me all this? So yeah, it's interesting.
I wonder about your own comfort with raising these things. I'm not saying that you should or you have a responsibility to, but how comfortable or uncomfortable is it to talk about your experiences with your friends? It sounds like something you do with the women in your life, but less so with the men. But for your own comfort and how it actually feels to say these things.
I'm very comfortable. I think at this point now, it's just it doesn't really feel like anything. I think at the beginning it was difficult, but I'm so kind of settled into it, and I kind of see it BPD as, I have it, but it's also something that's outside of me. Something that I research myself. I read about it like it. Do you know what I mean? Something that I'm just really interested in. But when I'm struggling, I do still struggle to kind of tell people. And it's not because it's hard for me to tell them. It's because I don't want to worry them. And I just kind of get worried about what they're going to think as well.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I find it difficult. But generally speaking, just kind of talking to someone asked me a question about it. Is this fine? If I have like short sleeves, because I have a lot of self-harm scars on my arms, people will ask. I mean, I was at the butcher today, And the guy gave me the chicken and he kind of held onto the bag and he was like, what happened to your arms? And I was like, should I tell the truth or should I just lie? So I was just like, oh, it's just tribal marks. And he was like, oh, I've seen it on people's faces, but never on the arms. I was like, yeah, it's just different tribes, you know. I just kept it moving, you know. So, yeah, it also depends, what mood am I in? Do I really want to be talking about this right now? You know?
No, that makes sense. You said that you ended up in hospital, A&E, right? And then you had loads of. What age was that?
What age was I when I? Maybe like 20. I think maybe I was 30. Yeah, maybe I think I was 30. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
And you'd already been reading about BPD before that, or was that the thing that made you read about what it was?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I think it was after I was hospitalized.
Okay.
That I was kind of like, then I started Googling like what's going on with me. Yeah,
okay.
It was afterwards.
What was the thing that led you to go to A&E?
I took an overdose. I took an overdose. And I woke up in the hospital and I tried to go home, wanted to go home. And they were just like, oh, we can let you go home, but we really think you should wait and talk to the psychologist who's coming. And I really didn't want to do that. So, but I did wait for him, and it was this guy who spoke to me, this white guy, and he said to me, he's like, oh, I've been doing this job for about 25 years. And he said, I've never seen a black man in here with self-harm scars before, ever. And I remember him saying this because it just felt like such a weird thing for him to say to me. And I think afterwards, that's when I kind of started Googling. Because when you're going through these kind of things, everything that you do, it doesn't seem strange to you. It just seems normal. So I think when he said that to me, it kind of woke me up a little bit. And I thought, oh, what am I doing? What is going on here? And then, I started Googling.
Since then?
I do think that's an odd statement.
It is an odd statement, isn't it? Yeah. I thought so too.
That is a very odd statement to make. What was your experience of, or what has your experience been of psychologists and therapists and professionals actually generally, psychiatrists, doctors?
Fine, I guess. When I was in uni, when I was experiencing depersonalization, I kind of went to the uni doctor and they were like, oh, it sounds like you're experiencing extreme anxiety and you're having panic attacks. And then so I did like CBT with them for maybe 10 weeks and they put me on some beta blockers and it was fine. They kind of taught me mindfulness. But the mindfulness made the depersonalization worse.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine. Yeah, no, for real.
Yeah.
For real.
So it was fine. Yeah, it was okay. When I was diagnosed afterwards and then I started seeing therapists privately, my experience, it was varied. Very different experiences. Yeah, I've only ever had a male therapist once, and it was because in my mind I was just kind of thinking, just basing it on my experiences with my male friends. I just thought, oh, he's probably gonna just write me off or something and not take me seriously. But they've all been, they've tried to be helpful in their way, but again, they would kind of talk to me, or it would feel like I was like a case study for them.
Really?
Yeah, oh, this is unusual sort of thing. So I'd usually feel uncomfortable and then kind of just stop going.
Was that more so with the private therapy that you'd have those experiences?
Yeah.
Okay,
with the NHS therapy, it wasn't like that at all.
Yeah.
And that was more group therapy that I was doing.
Okay.
It was dialectical behavioural therapy and mentalization behavioural therapy that I did with the NHS. And they were cool. They were good. Didn't really work for me, but I could see how they would work for other people.
Oh, so you didn't find, in terms of it didn't work for you, what do you mean by The NHS therapy didn't work.
Yeah. The DBT, which they say has like a 95%, 95% of people who do it get better. I don't know if I believe that statistic, but I understand that it does give you the tools because it doesn't heal you.
No,
It
it's
just helps you cope.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mainly
or
coping.
recognize when something is happening, when a symptom is bubbling to the surface. And I could already do that,
Yeah.
so it just didn't do much for me.
You said it doesn't heal you, but what would healing look like outside of coping? As in the complete absence
Just
of
gone.
any sort of
Just gone. Or like, if there was a medication whereby the symptoms are it's completely gone, but there is no medication. It's always like a mixture of antidepressants or antipsychotics or this, that, or the other. Trying to just find a combination that works for you.
Of interest, if I was to pivot back to that comment that doctor made or the psychologist in terms of I've never seen a black person present in this way in terms of A&E, what's your perception of that now, being a black male with BPD and kind of speaking about it so openly? What do you think he was really speaking to?
I think he was genuinely saying what his experience was. But obviously black men self-harm. They just don't get help for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think this is what I came to realize afterwards, and I was just like, this, of course I'm not an anomaly here. You know what I mean? But we're just not talking about it. So yeah, it did make me, but it is difficult. Again, I understand that it's difficult for black men to open up about this because, as we all know, that, a lot of these things are stigmatized in our community. And when it comes to self-harm especially, people are scared.
Yeah.
People are very, very scared of it.
You mean the people doing it or other people?
Other people, like,
actually-
looking on, they're,
looking at it,
they're kind of like, oh my God, like, how did...
Yeah.
I remember watching, there's this, I think he's a psychoanalyst that I like, this guy called Slavoj Žižek. And I was watching one of his videos and he was talking about the film Fight Club. And he was, I don't know if you guys seen it, Fight Club?
No, that's Brad Pitt. If it happens in Fight Club, it has to stay in Fight Club. Yeah. No.
And there's a lot of fighting, fighting each other and whatnot. And he said the most disturbing moment for viewers watching that film is when he starts punching himself in the face.
Yeah.
And it's because it seems so strange that people would physically harm themselves. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so people are kind of scared of it. And again, in the black community, it's worse.
Then, so what was the name of because I haven't heard of that person.
Slavoj Žižek.
Slavoj. It's always a Slavoj.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
A lot of it is. A lot of psychoanalysts are in like Eastern Europe.
Oh,
That's
right,
why. That's
okay,
why Freud and stuff is like.
He I think he says that he belongs to the school of Lacan.
Okay, yeah.
A guy
In
called
like
Jacques Lacan, I think his name is.
Vienna and all them places.
Yeah.
Those. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna check that out because that's interesting. But he makes a good point. People are scared to see because it almost it's like it goes against your like human instinct for survival.
Yes, exactly.
So it's like, why would I hurt myself because my instinct is to survive?
Yes, exactly.
So it's uncomfortable for people. Like it just sits uncomfortably.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely that.
But it's like you said, it's very common. It's very, very common, and like it's a spectrum as well, isn't there? Of you spoke about the guy in Fight Club punching himself. People might like just like pick. I feel like as well, like when we're all a bit anxious, maybe you might just like I don't know, like do little things with your hands.
Yeah.
And like if you do that over time, that is harming you. But obviously, it's not the same kind of deliberate or like in the same intensity. But I think it's important for people to know that it is a spectrum. And it looks different in different people, and it's very, very common.
Has different functions for different people as well. So like you're talking about like cracking your knuckles, for example, that might be like a stimulation thing or a sensation thing. For some people, it might be a source of relief. It's about, I think people can't make sense of it because the person that's doing it knows what it's doing for them.
Yeah.
But people looking onwards are confused, and I suppose that's where that you said people are scared of it.
Yeah.
They can't make sense of what or why someone
would do that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Like I've had like quite in-depth conversations with people about their self-harm, and when you actually hear about it, it actually makes it makes sense. And that to the everyday person is going to sound like just what do you mean? But it actually makes sense. Like even like the release that it can give you,
it's helpful,
and it can be really helpful. But obviously, it's not the best thing for you and your body and your health.
Of course,
But it makes sense for that person in the moment.
Yeah, it does. And a lot of the time, it would kind of stave off suicidal ideation. So if you self-harm, then you stop thinking about suicide for the evening or whatnot. And also, I mean, a lot of black men as well, I've found as well, like the ones that I've spoken to who have BPD, they usually self-harm through like alcohol or even sex, like risky sex. And they don't realize that, or even like porn addiction and masturbation, that kind of thing. They don't realize that it's an issue. You know, again, when you're in it, you just think it's normal. So yeah, as you said, it presents itself in different ways.
No, exactly. Actually, when you were talking about it, that's what came to my head. You know, when you said about the psychologist that said about not seeing a black man like that. I'm like, you have, but you've not seen like the different types it can take, maybe, or maybe it's secret, or also as well, like maybe it's just normalized. Like if you, you're just talking about you and your friends. I'm not saying this is you and your friends, but I'm just giving them an example. Like you went and you were like, I was with this girl and this girl and this girl. It can almost be more like applauded than anything else and normalized. And then we don't sit back and think, actually, should you really be doing this? This is not good for you at all. It's reckless and it's impulsive.
I completely agree.
So it's interesting. Where do you feel like you're at now with it? Because it sounds like you've gone through, like I'm hearing obviously like as a child, realizing that you were experiencing the world differently, then kind of going through some relationships and people saying things, then hospital, going through some like therapies as well. Where do you feel like you're at with everything?
I think I just kind of take every day as it comes, you know. Like again, I've just kind of accepted with BPD there's just no way out. Like I'm gonna have there, you can kind of, they say you can go into remission. But anyone who has BPD knows there's no such thing as remission. You know, you're just subduing things as best as you can. And that's what it is for me. I've just learned to live with it, you know, like, every day is different. You know, it is definitely harder when you're in a relationship, because that's when your emotions become really heightened and whatnot. So, but I know how to cope with most things. You know,
what's that conversation like with people in relationships? If you like start seeing someone, or if you are in a relationship, I don't know. But
I usually send like I'd be like, here's loads of information about BPD. I have this disorder. I remember when I used to be on Hinge, I used to like try and put it in my like bio, but then my friend, who's a woman, she was just like, you are never going to get any matches. Take that shit out.
What was it like one of the prompts?
What did you put in there?
One of the prompts, yeah. She's like, take that out. But but the girl I'm seeing now is kind of like, she kind of knew already, so that I didn't need to really have that kind of conversation. But and I do find that life kind of, things are easier when, I found, and especially, or when I'm around people who have experienced certain things. Not exactly what I've experienced, but have some experience of mental health. Whenever I've kind of had to go into like a mental health facility or whatnot, I always feel safer around those people because all judgment is gone.
Yeah,
We've all got problems. We've all got issues. You know, no one is. Yeah, it just feels a lot safer. It just feels like its own little universe, completely cut off from the outside world and the opinions of other people. I try not to romanticize that. I think that can be dangerous as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's like less questions as well. Like you were just saying, I went to the butcher's, they saw something, ask questions.
Yeah.
Guess with other people, they're just I know. Do you know what I mean? Less questions.
Exactly. Though with that said, again, self-harm scars scare everybody. So even when I was in these facilities, there would be people who have like severe schizophrenia, and then in their moments of lucidity, they would see my scars and be like, "What happened to you?" sort of thing. So it has the power to shock anybody. Do you know what I mean? But again, it's a different kind. When somebody who's in one of those facilities asks you a question like that, it's just a different kind of energy to my butcher holding my bag because he wants to ask me about my arms. You know,
You just want to go about your day.
Just want to go
Buy your meat.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
It's energy expensive as well to persistently have to explain yourself, but in depth as well. And I guess when you're around other people that have those experiences, what's understood doesn't really need to be said. You kind of resonate with each other a bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
So less energy expensive, therefore a bit more comfortable.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. So you just send out the information when you're dating someone and then that lands better. And if they've got their own experiences or a bit more knowledge, then it makes it easier.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like, this is your way out sort of thing. I'm giving you this information. Now you can choose to move forward with me, or you can choose to say, okay, I'm just not really prepared to be in a relationship with someone who has these issues. And that's fine. And I can just say, okay, fair enough. I respect you for saying that. The most annoying thing is when you send this information to people and they're like, yeah, this is fine. 2 months down the line, you like might have a little wobble and they're like, what's happening? And I'm like, I sent you all the information. And then like, well, I didn't read it. I just kind of thought,
Wow.
They didn't read it?
They didn't read it. A lot of people just don't read it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say they just didn't know, reading it versus experiencing it, two different
That's
different
true.
things.
That is two different things as well. Yeah. But a lot of them, they just don't read it. They don't read it. I am sending them like scientific journals and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Listen.
40-page research.
So fair. Yeah. I'm sending like proper research. But it's because, just seeing those 9 symptoms is not enough.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And also BPD, like, there are so many sub-symptoms. There's so many different things that are happening with those 9 combinations. Like, yeah, but you can't force people to try and understand. You just have to,
Would you send it early on when you start speaking to someone, or would you wait a little while to see if it's worth kind of even disclosing?
After the first date, yeah.
Okay.
After the first date, I would usually just kind of be like, here you go, here's all the information. But I mean, as well, if I've gone on the first date with somebody, I usually have my arms out so they can see what's going on.
Okay.
But again, some people might think it's impolite for them to ask me about it. Some people are, just make their assumptions and move on as well. Again, we think maybe it's like tribal marks for some. It's what some people think as well. Yeah, I've never really had like a bad experience, like someone being like super judgmental about it. It is usually quite polite, like, I'm just not really, I'm not equipped to deal with this sort of thing. And that is absolutely fine.
Okay. What do you feel like people should know? Well, okay, cool. If you could talk to your friends who you feel like haven't been so interested, what would you what tips would you give them to support you?
Yeah, interesting. I think just be just open to listening and understanding. Or you just be knowledgeable. Just know what it is your friend is dealing with. Know what it is that's going on. I feel like that's like, that's a pretty standard ask for a friend to kind of, you know, just know what, you know, what is going on with, you know, what's going on with your friend. Because when I have been in hospital, you know, they have come to visit me.
Okay.
They've come to see me and whatnot. I remember once one friend came to see me and he was kind of looking at all of the other patients who were kind of walking around us and whatnot. And he just said to me, Derek, you shouldn't be in here. And I was like, brother, you have no idea. What do you mean I shouldn't be in here?
Wasn't like you didn't look like...
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
That's
I see.
in his
Okay.
mind, he was just like, why are you in here though? Sort of thing. And I was like, I would not be in here if I didn't need to be in here. So even them being with me in this place, they still don't want to accept what is happening to me. They're still making excuses in their mind like, this is a mistake. Derek shouldn't be in here, sort of thing. Don't know why. It's harder for them to accept for some reason. I think maybe it's because, and I mean, I could be way off here, but I think there is some truth in that. If they accept that this happened to me, then there's the possibility it could happen to them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's harder for them. They don't want to even think about that at all.
Yeah. That's so interesting because you obviously are friends because you have something in common,
Yeah.
right? And then if you
Yeah.
have something in common with someone and that can happen to them, it can happen to me.
happen to you,
And I think that's interesting because, you know, people like will dismiss their own self-care and mental health, but at the same time see what could happen,
Yeah.
but still think, yeah, I'm just gonna ignore it.
Yeah.
When it is a reality.
Yeah.
It is a bit. I worked in a hospital for like a year and a bit or something like that. And I think that's when because it was earlier in my career, and that's when I was like, no, people take this seriously.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the circumstances can get quite intense and severe.
Yeah, for sure.
Even down to like the small bits of stress that you think are just small bits of stress. Them things add up. They add up and things can definitely happen. Yeah. Okay, so we need to tell people to listen, understand,
and just read up.
and read up.
Like, I mean, at least read the 9 symptoms, you know?
It's bullet points.
It's bullet
It's
points.
bullet points.
It's literal
And
bullet
there's
points.
Google AI now.
NHS website breaks it down in bullet points as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Like it literally will take a few seconds.
Exactly.
It's so simple, but so symbolic of male kind of friendships. As you said, but kind of like the shallow,
Yeah.
surface level. We don't need to go any deeper than this. Let's just keep it kiki, haha. But actually, as you said, can you actually do something that's quite simple and just read up and know what this person's going through?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, let me not diss them too.
No, what? We've been using your friends as examples. I meant like people.
Yeah.
But I've been using but I'm sure they're also great.
Yeah,
as
but
well.
like I said, you know, when I was in hospital, they did come to visit me, which again is, in my opinion, the bare minimum. Your friends in hospital, you go and see them. That's standard. But there are times where, you know, there was, like, for example, there was a moment when I was having a really impulsive moment and I just deleted all of my social media. I deleted Instagram. I was on Twitter at the time, deleted Twitter, Facebook, or whatever. And then the next morning at like 7 a.m., one of my friends was knocking on my door, proper disheveled. I just opened it. I was like, what are you doing here? He was like, you deleted all your socials. Are you all right? I was like, yeah, I'm fine. He's like, all right, cool, all right, safe. And he just left.
Okay.
So there are moments like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then that's like I guess that's an extreme, like, because he's probably thinking I've killed myself or something. But should he need to think that in order to like check up on me? Must that be the extreme before you know, you're like, oh, I wonder how Derek's doing, sort of thing. So, yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And I feel like people would have taken a lot away from just hearing your experience.
Yeah, I
and
hope
all
so.
that. Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely. I think it's always important to hear from people who've lived it. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, cool. It's my job to read about it and read those research papers and talk to people, etc. But to live it is different. And I think it's important to hear from people. So thank you. I really appreciate that. We all really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Should we move on to our debrief, guys?
Yes.
We'll come up on
I always think it's a left and right. There's not, is there?
There's no left and right of these. These are old school as well. You know, when I see these big things, I'm used to my beats. Guys, welcome to the debrief part of our show. This is when we react to something that's going on in the media or the news. Brent, can you play that video, please?
Depression. Yes, dads can get it too. In 2021, when my daughter Aurelia was about a month old, my wife turned to me in bed one morning and she asked, "How much do you love her?" I froze, I kind of gritted my teeth and said, "Yeah, I really love her," but inside I knew it wasn't there yet. I struggled to bond with my baby, felt disconnected and had growing shame that I was not being the natural father I thought I would be. About 6 months into fatherhood, I opened up to my wife. I wanted to be a rock to Chessie, who had had a complicated pregnancy. Eventually, I got therapy, but postnatal depression was never raised. It wasn't until Aurelia was a year old that I came across an article about men's PND that everything started to make sense. About 10% of new dads will experience depressive symptoms during the perinatal period and first year of a child's life. For me and my wife, it was a eureka moment. Men are not routinely screened for PND. So many cases go undiagnosed. I think the system is not changing quickly enough to offer support and spot the signs of depression in dads. My bond with Aurelia is now incredible. And with new understanding and support, I hope I won't suffer from PND again, but I think new dads should know they might not have that emotional bond straight away. Empathy shouldn't be a finite resource. I'm not saying the spotlight should be taken away from mums. All I'm saying is that it should be broadened so dads are able to be seen and heard as well. I had postnatal depression.
Okay. Ooh. Pardon?
I said that's fascinating.
It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. So that came out in the news in the last week, and just even some more context about how people are reacting to that. There's a lot of interesting reactions online
I bet.
to it. No, what do you think?
I mean, the kind of standard trolling comments like, if it's 10%, who cares, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
That's your initial thoughts of what people are saying.
And like, kind of, for example, it's a man again taking the spotlight.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't have to kind of be held for 9 months. I can imagine, what do you want from us now, kind of thing. Why taking? We need the support here, not you. I can imagine that could be backlash.
Hopefully we're wrong though.
If that was the backlash, because it is not that. Well, not what you said. It's not what you said. So that I haven't seen that anywhere. I should say I haven't got eyes on the whole of the internet, but from what I have seen, that has been part of the conversation. Since that has been, what are your thoughts on that as a thing?
I think there's so many changes that happens to both, and I don't think it should be either or, like no one taking the spotlight. How about we both get support? It shouldn't have to be like one in, one out, which is where I think a lot of the discourse is, or like, we need support, why this, why that. But it's quite symbolic again. If you even think about the leave, women get up to
Like a year.
Like a year. The men have how many? Like
2 weeks.
2 weeks back to work. So he's talking about emotional bond and trying to be there and having to be the rock and all these things. That's really difficult. You're trying to hold a bond, be there for your wife, partner, create this bond with this child who's very much in the mum's bosom in a sense, right? And they have to be. So you're already feeling disconnected. How are we supposed to kind of, for example, manage, try and do all these things, then potentially be scared of speaking up because actually you went through something so difficult for 9 months, then given childbirth, and then I'm supposed to be sat next to you and be like, babe, I'm really struggling. Even though that's the reality,
Facts.
I can imagine the guilt, like, actually, I can't say I'm struggling because I need to be the rock right now because you need me and this child needs us to be kind of like functioning, but I'm actually really struggling.
Yeah. What do you think, Zarek?
Yeah, my position is a bit, I mean, I have a daughter. when she was born again, I was going through like my whole BPD stuff. So, but my position now is I probably would have been chiming in with the people who were kind of like, did you carry the baby? Only because, you know, I read a book. It's called A Life's Work by an author called Rachel Cusk, and she talks about her experience being pregnant and then giving birth and whatnot. And she goes into so much detail, all of the things she felt, all of the things that she experienced in hospital and whatnot. And I remember after I read that book, I thought to myself, oh, I'm never, ever gonna like have children. Because if I were a woman and a guy came up to me and I was talking to someone and they were like, oh, we should have a baby. And I knew all of the risks, the fact that I could die giving birth, I would be like, are you mad? Like, I'm not doing this. I'm not putting my life at risk for this.
It's true.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, for a long time, my position was, why would I put my partner through that? Because like, say she passes this and because we wanted to have that's crazy.
Yeah.
So many risks. And yeah, it's a lot. So it's really but I completely understand what you're saying, and a lot of guys probably will just feel what I'm feeling and think I can't say I'm struggling right now because look what she's just been through. Do you know what I mean? But if the NHS, as the gentleman in the video said, if men are made aware of this, then they don't even need to say to their wife, oh, I'm struggling. They can just be like, look, something's happening with me at the moment. I'm speaking to someone about it and I'm dealing with it, you know, while you're dealing with what you're dealing with. Do you know what I mean? I think there are ways around it. It doesn't need to be a kind of my pain versus yours. Whose is greater?
Absolutely.
You know, because the man's always going to lose anyway.
Well, absolutely. And I think that's what depends on who you listen to, right? But my stance is, if you're going to name it as something, I don't think it should be postnatal depression, maybe paternal something. And actually, because obviously men will present with like depression or some difficulties during that time. I think they would just then meet the criteria for say like major depressive episode or disorder or whatever. Like they would have that. And then, so say like this is me thinking like in my psychologist brain, how I would go about it. If I was like writing a report, I would give that diagnosis and then I would say onset from this and that, caused by this and that, and give context to what's going on in his life, like including like being a new dad. The reason I'm like, should we make sure we keep postnatal depression for women or people who give birth is because there is so much biology that also happens at the same time as psychological. And I think it's important for things to capture all of those things and then for what you're going through to be captured by something else as well. Because I agree, men are going through a change at that time. I agree that you're probably having to feel even more like a provider because your wife is having to stay at home or your partner's at home. You are having to have a new identity as a dad. You're having this sense of responsibility. And if you want to be an active father, because that also is a choice, because some choose not to, right? All of that comes with a lot of pressure. And I'm sure that causes anxiety and I'm sure that can cause low mood. And maybe you and your partner now are beefing because you didn't change the nappy how I want to change the nappy. And all these things can happen. Your relationship is strained. I wouldn't be surprised if you go through depression. I wouldn't be surprised if you go through anxiety. However, I think the wording is also important as to not take away from the different experience that mothers will have. Oh, Cheryl, sorry, the way you're looking at me, I'm like...
No, because you literally, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to start talking about formulations, but formulations are these things that mental health professionals might do to make sense of an experience, right? So we'd look at someone's biology, so biological factors, things like hormonal imbalances, which women experience. We look at the psychological factors, what has been emotionally difficult, how they're making sense of what they're experiencing, what thoughts are coming up for them. And then we look at sort of social factors. So all of those sort of factors, we kind of piece them together like a puzzle and that would be a formulation. The formulation of a new mum and formulation of a new dad are going to be two very different things. So like you were saying, giving the term or using the same term for, even though it might present very similarly, the different pieces of puzzles are very different. So it's not the same. That's probably why you're getting a lot of responses of women almost a little bit resentful, or you're taking the spotlight, because it's two different experiences. But it doesn't mean that the outcome isn't valid, or what that person is experiencing isn't valid. So yeah, I think it's not very helpful to call it postnatal depression. I don't think that's the most helpful thing. I think the helpful thing is to recognize that new dads can struggle and new dads need support. And there's something around the identity of a new dad, like almost being quite protective over a new mum and their baby, and they have a role to look after their family, this new family, or if they've got children before that, and they're like an avoidance and moving away from saying anything, which is unhelpful. And thinking about, you need to put your own gas mask on before you can help the person next to you. How can you be there for your family if you're not tending to your own sort of needs as well? I just think that's something that people need to be aware of and thinking about, or new dads need to be aware of and be thinking about. But it's definitely something I think that creates that avoidance, and that's probably actually why that number's so low. That 10%, it's probably more than that. But
so don't you think there needs to be a new term rather than essentially saying it's depression and then putting like a little tag on, because that kind of just repeats what's happening. It's that there's 10%, and as you said, it's probably more. But if we then start to conceptualize it as actually it's depression, but just in the context of being, for example, a new parent, it's kind of in my head. So for yourself, you have postnatal depression very much for ladies, right? Can we do the same thing but for men, but different word? So there's separation, but to coin, this is what happens for men in this period, rather than depression, anxiety, coined or context after childbirth.
What would the name? I do.
Name, but it's just not to reduce it to this little thing in a corner.
You think so? You think it would reduce it if I said, I really think you're going through depression, and I think being a new dad has been the thing that's probably triggered this. You think that's putting it in the corner? Yeah,
I think it should be a term for it. For me, to capture this unique experience, I think we should coin it as well.
Okay.
That's my opinion. I think we should coin it.
That's interesting.
Rather than, because as you said, women go through this experience and there's so much hormonal changes, X, Y, and Z. And in men's life, this is a big change as well. I'm not saying it's the same hormonal changes or whatever. However, it's still a unique experience that both people go through. Why can't we have a term that is coined just for the male experience?
Yeah.
Then, this again, tagging on something that already exists and saying in the context of X, it just feels for me like it's this little thing in the room that's happening.
Okay.
And it doesn't make me as a man be like, oh, actually, this is recognised universally. NHS is back to X, Y, and Z. Does that make sense?
Okay, so you feel like for men having a diagnosis there. Okay, because I think this is like a, so what we're getting into here is a bit of a debate about it's like a diagnosis versus formulation. So formulation is just what Cheryl was describing, right? And in our profession, sometimes there's a back and forth about whether me just giving you, like, got BPD label, right? Okay, cool. Now what, right? Whereas a formulation is, because of this and because of that and this and this and that and these things together, this has had this outcome, and we can, do you know what I mean? It gives more meat to the bones. So I think the reason I'm struggling with, like, why I feel like the conversation doesn't end with a new title is because when we're thinking about adding meat to the bones, we would need to be talking about issues around fatherhood. We would need to be talking about issues around men feeling able to come up and talk, because if we don't face those things, me giving you a label, if you lot don't want to come up, what's me giving you a new label going to do? Do you know what I mean? Like, I still want to be able to address those issues. So yes, and I'm going to say yes, and
I agree. And the and would be to do more research, because there's not a lot of it being done. Yeah. So we should do some research, because I know we're talking about hormonal changes, and it does happen for men. There's more cortisol. That's hormonal change for the man. But what they will say is there's a lack of research. Okay, let's do the research, because it exists. So when I say about not having it, for example, a little thing in the corner, it's not because I think, again, it should be tit for tat. It just shows for me there's a gap, because men do experience it, but there's so much other factors, as you said, societal, all these kind of things that add to it. But if we was to do the research and back it up and be like, okay, no, this is an experience that people do experience and it is universally known, that might change things. You know?
Having a bit more of a conversation.
Sure.
What I'm hearing is that there's a bit more validity in having that title, because that if there's a label attached to that presentation, that means it's understood.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's validated. It's a real experience. It's tangible. This thing's happening to me because, as opposed to just the formulation.
Yeah.
So both together.
I think it's both of the things together. Someone's put on the in the comments. Is it tomorrow? Sorry, I'm squinting to be able to see it then. These things are caused by structure men have built, patriarchy, and they need community of other men to talk instead of rushing to burden their partners, new moms, with another thing. Interesting. Very interesting. What do you guys...
Men have built patriarchy and they need community of other men to talk. So I agree with having a community of men to talk. I think that's really key. I think there's a lack of, in terms of burdening their partners, of course.
I don't like that phrase, burdening your partner.
But it's a language.
It's not landing for me,
Yes,
but I
language.
wanted to hear from the men first.
So for me, the word burdening, of course, it can land differently for everyone else. But for me, I would think there's a level to it, because of course you want your partner to not worry and these things, but then actually you're causing more worry if there's something that you're going through and they're kind of not in the know. So there should be some level of shared communication, pitched at the right level for your partner and where they're at. So I think it's being attuned to where your partner is and what they can kind of hold and manage. But I don't know about burdening them. That's just for me though.
You know what? I think I've been thinking about this a lot lately, about the questions that people don't ask before. So whether that's before marriage, before having a kids, before laying down with someone, questions that need to be asked before. And I think these are one of the questions you ask before that baby. Okay, maybe the baby's already here inside. Maybe you're pregnant. That's okay. I would even advise that the question was asked before the baby is implanted. But what are we going to do with this experience? Like, again, we're forecasting, we're trying to be hypothetical here, but having a bit of a conversation, a bit of a plan around, you know what, this might be a really big adjustment. And I know for myself, for example, I don't handle stress well. I already know that for a fact. So how are we going to do it when this big thing happens? And like having that plan in place, yes, you might need to adjust it. Yes, something else could happen that you don't really know, right? But if you do that, I think those types of conversations that you're talking about could be easier because you already have a baseline that you're going from, even if it does change. Do you get?
I hear that, but I agree about, certain questions should be definitely asked. But I think, we surprise ourselves. We could have a hypothetical conversation and come to a particular conclusion that then affects the relationship in a negative way. But had that situation had occurred in real life, your behavior might have been completely different to what you thought it was going to be. Do you know what I mean? And I do think, when you start doing hypotheticals, you can kind of get stuck in that kind of, because you just keep thinking of them. You keep putting them to your partner. What would you do if this happened? Then what would you do if this happened? What would you do if this happened? And a lot of the time we can answer it how we think we're going to behave, but in the actual situation, it's just completely different.
Maybe outside of hypotheticals, expectations or I don't want to call them rules, but a shared understanding as opposed to hypothetically speaking, but a shared understanding. Okay, if you're like this, that means you need this, maybe without you saying it, but where there's a shared understanding, we find less of those situations. Also, we kind of glaze past the structural. She said men have built this structure that doesn't allow them to have a space to speak. It was the first comment. It's moved up. That the idea that perhaps men are struggling a little bit more because even going back to your relationship with your male friends compared to your female friends, men actually haven't created that environment to speak about how they're feeling, and that probably compounds and contributes to some of their experiences when it comes to mental health or just outside of being clinically unwell. The experience of being a new dad is hard. Do men have that space to speak about it and, you know, talk about how they're feeling with their other, maybe not other fathers, but even just male friends?
Yeah.
That's important. I'm seeing more and more of that type of thing happening though. What's his name? It's gonna know. Keith. I think it's Keith. Adela's husband. Anyway, online creators. Can't remember their last names, but I think he made like a dad's club or something, and I've seen quite a few of them pop up. I've seen, and I can't remember the page for the life of me, but there's a page dedicated to like men, especially black fathers and men talking about what it's like to be a father. What do you want to give up in terms of how you were raised? What do you want to do differently? What do we need to learn? So I think it's happening slowly but surely. But I think that overarching messaging is still there. As in, like, you shouldn't speak up. Or you shouldn't you shouldn't feel, actually. The message is you shouldn't feel.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just reading the comment.
Go on.
There's two. So just the top one was saying, hijacking an existing term is not wise, but experience is more important than a label. Patriarchy with the men and women that uphold it has caused a lack of research and interest.
Absolutely.
And then Tamara responding said, burdening because even when women bring life into the world, men still want to be centered, ! And if he doesn't want solutions and to seek help, it is a burden. Okay, context. If he doesn't want solutions and to seek help, it is a burden. So he's bringing something to his wife with no intention of how I'm going to act on it. Is that how I'm perceiving it?
Yeah,
That's
I think
right,
that's
yeah.
right. I think that's
Yeah.
right.
I understand that. Now, for me, that's burdening.
Just
For me, there's two sides to it. Because there's a part of you that might want to just vent, right? And actually, been going through a difficult time, X, Y, and Z. I might just want to vent to the person that's really close to me. And that's the only person I kind of feel safe to do that with.
Time and place, though, thinking about a new
Exactly.
mum. Has she got the capacity
place.
to hold that, you know, that venting? Hence why I think the idea of a community was mentioned. And
For sure.
that's probably more appropriate in that context. In any other context, partner's completely appropriate to vent to. But yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's what she said first off, isn't it? In her first comment, it was like, should have like a community mental health, not mental health, but dads or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think so. I disagree with you. I think timing is really important. And I think if you go to your partner and say, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, I don't feel connected to the baby, and then, you know, your partner's kind of like, okay, so what should we do about this? And then you say, oh, nothing, I'm just letting you know. I think that's a problem. You know? That's definitely a problem. Yeah.
But can I caveat it? So what if we said that, but it's like, it's just like a feeling in the moment, but I'll be fine. If he says that within that kind of, would that be okay for you as females?
no, because
We all know what I'm going to be fine. We all know what that means. You know what I mean? You know what's going on.
No.
So you want a caveat?
No, because I'm gonna already not. The thing is, I know you don't want to like worry us, but it's not like a worry like I'm sitting there hyperventilating, like, oh my god, is he okay? But it's like a thing in my mind, like, okay, cool, like he's feeling this way.
Okay.
This is gonna have it. Like I'm not sitting here like rocking back and forth at night. You know what I mean? Which is why, and like I don't know if that's the depiction of women and how we handle things. And I'm sure there are some people who do get anxious to that extent. But if you know your partner. And you love them, I'm sure they're going to hold space in your mind. So if you come and you say that, and I'm going to be fine, I'm going to come back and I'm going to check.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back and check. And then if you're not truthful with me, we're going to have a problem.
Do you think there's differences, right? So tell me if you guys ever do this. If, for example, when you have a partner, if you do have a partner, and you go to them, and you go to your partner and you vent, but you might say, I don't want your solutions, I just want to speak, right? Isn't that kind of similar? But of course, with her being pregnant, you do time it. I agree. But isn't that similar? Or
Yeah.
is that just a double standard?
Do people do that?
I do. So, no, but the thing is,
Do you know what I
want, again, this is a timing thing. I don't want your solutions now.
Yeah.
Because this is me personally. I interpret as that you think I'm incompetent because I'm very competent and I will find solutions. But right now I need these emotions to go somewhere and then cool, we can find solutions. But if you come in, I'm gonna be thinking, do you think I'm done? I know that. I just need to get this out. Or I know I need a solution and I don't know it right now. I just need to get this out. So I'm talking me personally.
Yeah.
The vent thing is like right now, let me get it out. Then let's think about it.
Okay. So would a man with a pregnant wife, when she's got a bit more capacity, you did a little rubber feet, bath run, yeah? Am I able to vent without having to have a solution and going to like my men's group? Am I allowed?
This is interesting because timing is like, when is the right time?
Okay.
I guess this is a good question because after a woman, giving birth, she might not even be okay after a year. Do you know what I mean? She very likely sleepwalking through life. Do you know what I mean? Like, nipples are sore and just all kinds of things to be going on for a very, very long time.
So when I said timing, I think I was referring to a very individual and personal context. You know your partner, you know what they're going through, you know how they're handling a new baby. Some women, they've done it before, it might be their second, third, and it's a breeze. Some might be a first time mum and there might be a limited village to support and she's really struggling. That's not the right time. I think not everybody, but there should be some sense of you being able to gauge how much she can hold in that moment. If you can see that she's already stressed, you don't want to almost put your burdens on top of her and come out, while yes, you do need a space. And like you're saying, there might not be a right time. And that's probably when you probably need to get help, not just for you, maybe for both of you in that time, your partner, but again, outside of that, whether it's professional, whether it's friends, whether it's family, then you might need to call for reinforcement. But I don't think two new parents, it's difficult for both of you. I don't think it's fair to put that on just one person. And I guess that goes both ways as well.
What does it?
Realistically,
you start troubling that.
No. Realistically, it doesn't because it's the woman that's giving birth. She's getting attention, like medically, body's gone through a lot of changes. And then the dad is typically the one that kind of takes that on, this masculinity. You have to be the protector. You have to be the one that there's all of these things that feed into it. But even in those cases, I just think it's helpful to have people around you to lean on. It's a lot for one person to absorb all of that, especially if we're both going into depression. That's quite an extreme low mood. It's almost an extreme of something that's a lot for one person to hold. And at that point, you probably need to be seeking support, whether it's a community, whether it's professional support. So yeah, time and place, I think you gauge, and if it's not, your partner doesn't have the capacity for it, I don't think people should be afraid to look outside of the home for that support.
Interesting.
Also, people talk about sort of trauma dumping and how uncomfortable it is for some people. Some people have the capacity for it and some people don't. But I think we have to be mindful of how much we're putting on people, because you absorb things, we absorb emotions, we absorb all of that. So while they say a problem halved is a problem shared, it's because you're literally giving. It's like an energy exchange almost sometimes when you have conversations, when you share things that are really difficult. We have to read the room a little bit. It's not the easiest thing and it sounds very disingenuous for me to say, but there has to be an element of that awareness of what's going on for the other person as well when you're taking things to them.
You know what, that kind of feeds into the questions or conversations that need to happen before. And I think this speaks more to how we see relationships as a couple. Do we see us as ever-changing beings? Are we willing to stick with each other through changes? How do we make sure we're on the same team even when it's hard? Those are also conversations to have. How are we going to relate to each other when things get hard, when things change? Because I think as well, we're trying to give the most ideal like conversation and almost sanitize a human experience. It's going to be messy and it's going to be hard. And sometimes they're going to annoy you and you're going to have to sit with that or like figure out a way that you two deal with those emotions as well. But if we come into it like, I met you this way and now this happened and you're not acting like that, come on. Like, you know, is that really realistic? Is this part of the changes that we're going to have in a relationship?
But you guys are therapists, so you're kind of, you know, aware of that. I don't think many people are aware of that people change and that's okay. Or do you know what I mean? I think most people, you know, like the girl I'm seeing at the moment, I always say to her, like, you know, you're going to annoy me and I'm going to annoy you as well. And that's fine. Like, we're going to get on each other's nerves. It's going to happen, you know, and because life is messy. Life is always changing. Things are always changing. But I think a lot of people, when their partner starts annoying them, they start thinking, oh my God, do I want to be with this person anymore? It's getting on my nerves. Yeah. So if you've just had a baby as well and you start, I think as well, potentially you could even just say to your partner, you know, I'm feeling kind of stressed right now. I'm going to get some help. I'm going to sort it out.
Yeah.
That alone could still feel very annoying to a new mum. Sort of thing, like, why are you telling me this? Why didn't you just go and do it? Sort it out before you come to me. Now I'm worrying about you. Even though you are getting help, I'm still worrying about you because I'm a human being. Do you know what I mean? So I was just saying, yeah, it can be messy and complicated, and they probably know. It's like, yeah, how do you give advice to somebody about this? If someone comes to you and says, I need advice, I'm really struggling, my wife's just had a baby, I don't know what to do. What do you even say to them?
If someone came to me and asked, if a man came to me and said, my wife's
really struggling, but I'm really struggling as well. I want to just kind of let her know that I'm struggling, but I'm handling it. Like, but I think that's going to annoy her as well. Do I just keep it secret? Do I just keep it to myself?
No, I would bring, you see that I'm worried that it will annoy her. She also needs to know that.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, timing. You know, don't do it when she's in the middle of a diet, like she's changing the nappy and all the things. Don't do it. But maybe if you guys have got some time together, whenever it is, things are a bit calmer. Babe, there's been something on my mind that I've been wanting to talk to you about. And the reason I've been holding it back is I'm really worried I'm going to annoy you and I don't want to do that. But I also know that you might feel those things, so we can have a conversation about that. But at the moment, let's just focus on my thing. This is what I've been thinking. This is what I've been feeling. And then start the conversation that way. So even this, like sometimes conversations, we think we're communicating something, but actually we were meant to communicate the thing that's underneath it. So if you come to me and you're like, oh yeah, I'm scared, I'm going to annoy her, I'm not going to tell you not to tell her that bit, because that's the bit that you're meant to be talking about. Do you know what I mean? Or part of the conversation anyway. So bring all of that. And again, hopefully if you've built a relationship where you guys know each other well, where you've been able to have these types of conversations before and get through them, you can go in with good faith that she can, hopefully, if everything's the right timing and all those things, it can land okay enough for you guys to get through, even if it is 10 conversations, because it might not just be the one conversation.
But also, like, brace yourself for her to be annoyed, like, because it's part of relationships.
Yeah.
And therapists say, like, sit with it, but actually you just sit with it. Okay, she's annoyed. How do you usually communicate? How do you usually cope when she's annoyed? You need to give her space. Give her space. If you need to revisit the conversation. It could go either way, but if you're not telling her something so that she's not annoyed, does that leave your needs as well? So it's just a part of life, upsetting people or making other people uncomfortable. You also need to communicate what you need to.
Yeah. And then I'd also then so I'm going into a whole therapy session, but then I'll be talking to you about, like, well, what's your relationship with annoying people or her? Like, where does that come from? What that's about? What are you sitting with the idea that you've annoyed someone? Are you now a bad person because you've annoyed someone? Do you feel really shameful about it? So that also might be some of it, because I'll be like, okay, if she does get annoyed, that might come up for you. Know it's there, but don't lean into it. Just therapy speak, sit with it.
Yeah, acknowledge it. Okay, she's annoyed.
And just like a side pivot, I just saw a comment and they said how that's why support networks are so necessary. It's a real assumption that people have support networks. Some people don't have next of kin, literally.
Yeah.
So it's such a massive assumption. So as a therapist, the first thing we're thinking is like, how do we start to create that network? Because even though we say there's a statistic, I said only 10%, but there's a lot of actual groups designated for men who are struggling or new dads within the community, but you're just not aware of it. And maybe the marketing's not there, or it's just not publicized enough, but they do exist. So that's where we'll be trying to kind of plug those kind of people in.
Yeah.
So yes, we'll kind of be giving you advice of how to go and speak with your partner, but also how do we create that network? Because it is necessary, but a lot of people don't have it, whether they're disconnected with their families, don't speak no more, literally like no communication. So even though we're speaking about how necessary it is, people have to realize that actually it's a, what's the word? What's the word? Oh my God.
You're looking at me like I'm going to implant it in your head. I don't know.
It's such a privilege to have a support network, a real privilege that not everyone has. But I think sometimes we take it for granted that we can go down the road or call this person, call that one. Not everyone has it. So it's really having to be mindful of that as well.
Agreed.
Interesting. Very interesting. Should we get into our letter? I feel like that was good discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was.
interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got a phone.
Okay. Guys, we've got a letter to the couch. So this is when we answer your dilemmas. Feel free to send us a dilemma. You can email it to us, tlc@thenewblack.co.uk.
They're all anonymous. So.
They are all anon. Yes, we won't bait you out. Don't worry. Also, .com. Did I say .co.uk? My bad. Guys, feel free to send us a dilemma. It's tlc@thenewblack.com, and black has an X instead of an A in it. Cool. So the dilemma is, hi doctors. I am in two thoughts about something which will possibly affect me and my family in the long run. My wife is pregnant. Oh, look at that. Look at that. My wife is pregnant with our first baby, and we're discussing how we would manage the future. My wife has a very well-paid job, which is more than mine, and has a better promotion potential. She thinks that it would be better if she continues work full-time after having the baby, and I could stay at home to look after the baby. We have had many long discussions about it, and it seems the obvious thing to do on a financial basis. However, I do not think it will go down well with our families. My dad has always worked and been the breadwinner, and I think he will think less of me. Not to mention her father, who I gave a vow to look after her, and me staying at home would not be seen as looking after his daughter. There's also a society opinion. I do not know any stay-at-home dads, and I do not know what my mates would see of me. I'm in two minds. I want the best for my family, but I don't want to be seen as less as a man. Not sure if I'm just being too proud or too weak to ignore the negative vibes that I could come across, even my own. What do you think? That was a interesting.
Thank you for the letter. That's layered, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And interesting that came straight after that. Debrief, actually. Very fitting. Again, I would like to hear from the men first. I'm going to be honest, because it sounds like, yes, I'm a man.
I've thought about this before, actually.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, my response is quite basic. Just, stay at home. Like if your partner's making more money, has more potential to make more money, then you take care of the child. You stay at home, take care of the child.
You said it was a basic answer. You're saying like just one sentence. I don't think it's a basic answer.
Yeah. But it kind of feels like a no-brainer to me. Like
okay.
Yeah, just kind of take it on the chin and fair enough, it's the way society sees stay-at-home dads, yeah, that's true. Is that more important than looking after your child and, making a home and having financial security? No, I don't think it is at all.
You even look like you're like, this is so straightforward to you in your head.
Yeah, but of course I understand societal pressures and those and they are hard on men. Do you know what I mean? You do, if you're not making enough money, or if you're not if you're out of work for a long time, it feels very, very painful. You know, it does sometimes feel like your life has no meaning if you're not working. If you're in a family, you have a partner and you're not able to provide for them the way you would want to. It is a horrible feeling, and of course, it is just the way that we've been programmed as men in society and whatnot. So I understand it's hard to get out of that way of thinking. But at the same time, you know, I mean, I've read many articles from men who are just kind of like, I decided to be a stay-at-home dad, and it's the best thing I ever did. It's like, you know, more men should have the opportunities to choose this life, to stay at home with their children, you know, clean the house, make the food. Like the way some of the guys frame it, they're just like, this is like paradise. Like I'm good, you know. You go and work in the world and you bring the money home. You know, I'll rub your feet when you get in. That's
and you'll rub my feet as well, and you'll cook.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, it just feels But I think for most men it'll probably be hard at the beginning, but then they'll get into it and be like, you know what, this is fine. This is okay. So what if these people think this? My child loves me, and I love my child, and it's great. You know.
Yeah.
You know what? I agree with you on paper. It's very but I'm with you on paper. It's a no-brainer. What do you mean?
Yeah.
It makes sense, but of course there's layers. There's two families, and the society pressure of what does a man's role look like within the family? What is that script? But if we were to strip it down, and if you just think about your household, okay, what does providing look like? So he's thinking very much traditional.
Sure.
I go out, I go hunt, I bring back. But actually, you staying at home and making sure that you, for example, have that home
Facts.
functioning, okay? Yes, she's bringing the money, but you can also still be supporting with how you organize your finances. It's a team game at the end of the day. You're a unit, right? I think sometimes we still look at things so singularly and they do this, they do that. No, we do this together. We make sure we're all functioning. Whilst you're working mentally, emotionally, you're also very secure. You're looked after. When you come home, you know everything's sorted. It goes both ways.
Yeah, agree.
And it might not stay like that forever. It can be a moment where it looks like this and it can change.
Yeah.
And that is also fine.
Yeah.
You know? But it is going to be very hard to shut up that outside noise when there's been this narrative of this is what a man should be doing in a family. That is very difficult.
Yeah. I'm the provider. And I think as well, if you kind of think, if you're thinking, oh, I'm not going to be able to provide for my family if I'm a stay-at-home dad, I think the question you just immediately need to ask yourself is, so is my wife not providing for this family if she's staying at home? You turn it like that, then you think, oh, okay, no, she must be. So then I am as well then if I'm doing the same thing she would have been doing anyway. You know?
It's like the comment.
Yeah, it's literally speaking to what you guys are speaking to.
How is staying at home with your child, not looking after the child's mother, men need to expand their definition of care? Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
they
too
do.
one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Because if we're not, for example, bringing finances, it's as if we think we no longer can bring anything else to the table. You know?
I feel useless.
And it's so interesting because it's like, I would say from conversations that I'm having with women, and I guess even from that, a lot of us, a good portion of us, are starting to think like that is so outdated. We don't even care. I don't even care.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you don't want to expand your idea of care is annoying us more than actually not providing. Because we're like, so like, stop being this. I'm gonna go out. What did you say? Hunt and gather and bring it back. That's annoying us more than just, you know, being open to different things. So I think it's helpful for you guys, obviously, just for your own like mental. But I think as well, like relationally, I think it also is helpful as well. Because I think we would. And I would say the same. Obviously, I'm a woman, so it's important to hear from you guys first on this. But yes, I don't doubt there's pressure. The same way that we feel certain pressures, I'm sure you guys feel certain pressures. If I know the weight of what I feel as a woman, I can absolutely just put that on you guys and understand, right? But there has to get to a place, you have to get to a place where you can manage that and block that out. If you are about this family, block it out. And also as well, I'm a grown woman. You think my dad can chat to you? I'm going to talk back to my dad. My dad's trying to say anything. I'm telling him, no, we've got an arrangement because this is our household. I get what your concerns are, but that's not running. So don't feel like, this is my advice to him, and I would hope for his wife, don't feel like she can't speak up for herself. She can also speak up and support you in that process as well, if that's a decision that you guys come to.
That's a good point. I think that's an important one that shouldn't go over people's head. But your partner also doubling down and supporting what's going on, rather than you kind of going up like, no, but we're doing this because, you know, and actually kind of puts you more into a position. That's a good point.
Thanks.
The words, was it lazy and weak? I'm sorry if those aren't the right words, but that's what's ringing in my head. But that's the story you've told yourself about what it means if you stay at home. If I stay at home, it means I am this. And I just think it's just a very linear way to think about things. And also you're centering yourself in a dynamic that involves your wife, involves children. This complete almost a mission of teamwork and what it means to come together. And it's basically what you guys have been saying, that she could do one element and he could do another element. He might do the element of care or whatever it is done at home, and she goes and gets money. But collectively, you're doing things to keep the household running, to keep the household going. It's not just about your role, it's two people's roles. And we live in a society in a time where, especially when you have a family, it's very difficult to raise children and maintain a household with just one person. You have two people that can do that, and you're in a position where two people can do that. One person takes on one aspect of having a family, the other person takes on another aspect. It just looks different to perhaps the stories you've been told, or what it looks like. And you made this vow or promise to your wife's father that you were going to care for her, or was it care or protect? Care for her. That is caring for her. It's literally what the comment says. That is caring. You are caring for her.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you don't have to be so linear and just almost black and white about how you see a household or how you see roles in a household. And like you said, roles change. They're not concrete. In this season of life, it just logically, we're thinking about sort of tangibly how it makes sense on paper. With these things, it's always you against your mind.
It is, Yes.
Your mind's telling you one thing, and if I do this, it means that, it means that, it means that, but it doesn't mean that's reality.
But then can I ask, so say for example, either of you had like a stay-at-home husband, right? And he doesn't work at all. You guys are having a conversation. And he refers to the earning as our money. Like, he keeps saying our money. What are we going to do with our money? Would you wince at that? Would you wince and think, hold on a minute, our money, my money?
Instinctively, I'm not going to be a liar and sit here and say no.
Got him.
Instinctively, I would. Instinctively, I would. But that's because of my life experiences and my understanding and but I have I check myself, but I would absolutely with mine, but I'd have to really check myself, because if this is someone that's at home, that's looking after the house, that's doing the clean, that's looking after the kids, I wouldn't be able to make that money if it wasn't for him in the first place. So where does he come into that? Do you know what I mean? But instinctively, absolutely I would, because you weren't with me in the gym, shooting in the gym. Do you know what I mean? Those, automatically. But this is what I'm saying, is us against our thoughts. Our thoughts are so automatic. They happen like that. And then if we don't catch it and like, okay, why am I thinking like this? We run with it and we stay with it. So if I don't catch myself, I will run with it and I'll stay with it, and it will probably cause issues.
Are we am I annoyed at you in the scenario?
No, just normal
Oh,
conversation.
just normal. Okay, because in my head,
Yeah.
I would instinctively do it more if I was annoyed.
Okay. No annoyance. Just
But
you
if
just
not,
keep hearing hour.
Hour. I don't think. I think it could possibly happen, but again, like my instinct was more, I'm annoyed at you, and I probably would do that. I know myself.
Okay.
But again, either way, annoyed or not, I would do what Sheryl was doing because I. The power of like all of those narratives that we grow up with is really strong, and again. I'm not immune to them. You're not immune to them. But I think that what makes a good relationship is you like being aware of those things and catching yourself. Like, is it my automatic thought? Is there any like truth in this? And checking yourself and being like, okay, no, we're a team. We're a team. We're a team. And that's part of the choice you made when you got married.
Yeah.
Is to choose each other every day, even when you're annoyed or those like family stuff comes up or those narratives come up in your head. I'm having to choose you guys every time. So I can't say I would be immune from it, but I would have to check myself 100%.
I think those two responses were so real in terms of like, that just shows you the pressures and those roles or scripts that we have embedded. So that even though when we was like, well, on paper it looks, this is really simple, but even I can imagine someone even trying to enact it and going forward with it and constantly having to battle every day with society, parents, when you go out doing the school run, what are people looking at, thinking of me? That's constant. So it's constant checking of yourself. And I'm sure you get to a point where it's just kind of radical acceptance. But until then, it's that constant checking in with yourself, actually. What am I battling here?
Certain like in my head anyway, like whenever I get into a relationship, in my head, we would set a thing where like all of that stuff, we try and protect ourselves from all of that stuff as much as possible. Like we don't allow the chaos of the world into our like home. I think that's really important. For me personally, it would be very important. Having someone on the same page as that would be very important to me. So not to say that, again, they can't happen, but just making a conscious effort that we like asking each other, like whose voice is that in the back of your head? It didn't start with us. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not your voice. Or like, why are you bringing chaos? Don't bring chaos here. We don't do that. Do you know what I mean? So that's just my thing. And I think would be important when you're navigating a situation like this.
Absolutely. I like that.
Yeah. Okay. So we've given him clear advice because
Oh yeah.
the advice was, bro, just do it.
It makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
But I guess, like check yourself and those feelings and know that it's not forever, but it makes sense to do it. And you'll hear it from the men as well. So even more backative. Okay.
Yeah.
Lovely. That's that. Derek, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Big up, Derek.
Great talking, for real.
Enjoy this conversation for sure.
Yeah.
So that is episode 8. Guys, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We're out. Peace.
Bye.
This is